Hi everyone, it's Milky. Welcome back to my channel. Today I just have a nice, cozy little chatty video. I recently got in some manga in the mail and I thought this would be a good opportunity to do a, not manga collection per se, I could do that later on if any of you are interested, but I wanted to talk about my favorite Yuri mangas. So if you're unfamiliar with Yuri, this is also the genre in manga known as girls love or shoujo-ai, and as the name might imply, it focuses on romance between girls. So this has always been one of my favorite genres of manga ever since I started collecting. I've always liked stories that are romancy that focus on love between girls. I feel like there aren't that many of them in manga. There are definitely more of them, but like when you compare it to regular, boy-girl romances, there are a lot more of those, predictably. So I've slowly amassed a bit of a collection over the years. I've read a good bit of them, but I tend to only really collect the series that I really like. So today I thought it would be fun to show 6 of my favorite Yuri mangas. So I guess let's just go right into it, and hopefully if you are also into the genre, some of these might be new recommendations to you, or at least you can listen to me ramble about cute girls being cute. So the first series that I have is actually the first one that I started collecting in the genre, and that is the Kase-san series. These are all they all have different titles, so I never know what to call it, so I always call it Kase-san. But the first one is called Kase-san and the Morning Glories, and then we have Kase-san and Bento, and Shortcake, and Apron, and Cherry Blossoms, and then in the kind of follow-up series, it's just Kase-san and Yamada, and then 3 volumes of that. So, as the name might imply, it's a romance about 2 girls, Kase-san and Yamada. This is another one of those typical high school romances. So we have Kase-san, who is super sporty, super cool girl, kind of the, typical, more masculine romance interest in a Yuri manga. And then we have Yamada, who's super fluffy, super shy and nervous. So it starts out when they're in high school. Kase-san is on the track team. Yamada is on the flower arranging club. So the 2 of them slowly kind of get together. This is very nice and light and fluffy, is I feel a good word to describe it, just because there's nothing ever really too conflict forward that happens. It's always just very cute. There are minor issues here and there because you can't just have a series that has no plot whatsoever, but for the most part it's just very cute. It's very lighthearted. I always just read this when I want to feel a little bit better, so there's no real strife, no real conflict or anything like that. So if you want something that's nice and happy and not doomed Yuri, I recommend this. Next up is a series that I feel like I never see anyone talk about, which I'm really surprised by because it's honestly one of my favorites in the genre, and that is Goodbye My Rose Garden. This is only a 3-volume series, so it's very short, so maybe that's why people don't talk about it, but this is a historical manga following Hanako, who is a Japanese woman who goes to England in the Victorian era, and then she's the maid for Alice, who is the blonde one on the covers. So this is kind of a historical manga, presumably, so there's a lot of difficulty in terms of them, having a relationship, as was difficult in the era, of course. The art in this is absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of detail with lace and everything, and just oh, look at that, it's so pretty. I really love this series. I feel like it's so underrated. Definitely a big contrast from the Kase-san series, because there is of course difficulty in this. Alice is engaged to be married, and then it's whoa, what do I do? And of course she can't leave her, current life because she's a noblewoman, and so that would completely make, her life difficult for her. Her entire family would leave her, etc., etc. All the difficulties of being a Victorian lesbian. But I'm not going to spoil it, so you'll have to read it yourself to see how it works out. But overall, it's just really good. I really like it. Again, the art is beautiful. I'm trying to find some nice pretty drawings to show you. Oh, it's so pretty! I also like this because I feel like it has a lot of interesting historical elements. So an example that comes to mind is that they tend to go to a lot of bookstores and then they talk there, and I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I feel like I've heard of this being a thing in Victorian London where queer people would go to bookstores and then they'd be able to chat and converse there in a slightly more discreet environment. Maybe I'm just making it up, but I feel like I've heard that somewhere, so forgive me if I'm terribly mistaken. But yes, I really recommend this series. It's really nice. Definitely a bit more of a tearjerker. Yeah, I think there's one other series that's a bit more emotional, but this is definitely on the more, oh, what's gonna happen, I'm so worried for them side of things, but I really, really recommend it. Again, it's only 3 volumes, so it's not a huge time input, but yeah, highly recommend. Next up, I'm not going to pick up this one because I have like 12 volumes here, but we've got Yuri Is My Job. So, Yuri Is My Job, another cute school type manga. I feel like so many Yuri volumes are like regarding high school relationships, which I guess like most romance mangas are about high school relationships, so sorry that that's kind of where my preferences are skewed. But Yuri Is My Job, super cute series. This focuses on a cafe where girls, it's not quite like a maid cafe, but it's similar in vibe, where the workers are dressed up as students at a German all-girls boarding school, a la very Strawberry Panic? Is that the one? I haven't actually seen it, but I think that one's at like a boarding school. But they basically just have to act as these students that have like this vows of sisterhood, and it's all very, you know, lesbian. But it's very cute. This mostly focuses on Hime, who is our blonde girly girl, very sweet. Her whole thing is that she acts very nice and sweet to get everyone to love her. Respect the grind. And then we have Yano, who is our dark-haired girl. She's very calm and composed, but it turns out that she doesn't seem to like Hime very much. But it actually turns out that they have a secret past and they go back together. A little bit about that. But Hime is completely unaware of this. I think this is all like revealed in volume 1, so I'm sorry if this is too spoilery. But very cute, very sweet. We also have a friend of Hime's who is just a little bit involved in Hime's happiness, and there are like a lot of other girls who get brought into this. I'm just showing the covers now because they're pretty and I always like looking at anime covers. So yeah, it starts a lot with Hime and Yano, and then the relationships with the other girls, the other ones are all pictured here, that kind of gets brought into the story as well. More like information about the cafe's previous workers, i.e. this girl, Sanjo, I think, and Goto. I'm just spewing names at this point. But it's cute. It's definitely a little bit more intensive than like the Kase-san series. There's actually a plot that goes on, and then there's clashes between characters for different reasons. So there's a lot of interpersonal relationships at play here. I would say that it's focused more on that with like an undertone of girls liking each other. It's definitely less about like the romantic relationships between characters, although that's definitely a big element to it, and more so just about their relationships on the whole, like both in, you know, real life and then in the cafe where they're cosplaying as these German school girls. So it's overall really interesting. I feel like the characters themselves are really well written, and then the relationships with each other are also well written. So I feel like it's interesting in that aspect. It's a long series. I think it's still going out. There was an anime adaptation, which so far has only 1 season, but that's pretty good too if you just want to dip your toes in the water and watch a few episodes. So yeah, I overall really like this. It definitely gets a little bit intense further into the series, like volume 11 or 12 was pretty intense. But yeah, for the most part, I like the characters a lot in this. I feel like they're nice and complex, so if you want a manga with a good story, I recommend this one. So the next one is the newest one to my Yuri anime collection. I read this online a couple of months ago. They only recently started releasing it in the US, so I've like fully caught up, I think, for the most part, to the like translated Japanese version, and I'm now just starting to actually collect the English volumes. And this is I Want to Love You Till Your Dying Day. They previewed that they're making like an anime adaptation of this, and that was my first time hearing of this, and I'm like, whoa, that looks so cool, because it's very different from your typical Yuri manga. Yuri manga, Yuri anime. This is a lot darker of a series. It's essentially this futuristic world where orphan girls go to a school to learn magic, and then they fight other nations with magic and that sort of thing. But it's essentially between the relationship of Sheena, who is our girl over here. She doesn't know magic very well, so she mostly just tries to stay out of the way, and Mimi, who is quite the like weapon of this country. She is a very good fighter, but then she's always getting injured. And it's kind of just the relationship of them at the school and other girls that are there at the school. This is incredibly emotional. There's so much strife that goes on to these poor girls, but it's really good so far. Some more covers. So yeah, overall this one is definitely like very much, the story is very unique, I feel, and the characters are very unique, and their relationships are very unique. This is definitely like not your typical schoolgirls romancy type of manga. Not that there's anything wrong with that, evidently. So yeah, if you want something that's a bit more serious, and the plot is also actually really good, and there is some tearful relationships. I haven't finished this series. I mean, it's still, I think, ongoing, so I don't know where everything ends up, but I'm worried that it's going a little bit towards the doomed Yuri trope, but I'm hoping not. I just want them to be happy. But yeah, the art in this is really pretty. The story is definitely super engaging. Like, I couldn't stop reading it once I started it, so I highly recommend it, and I definitely want to add more than just these 3 volumes to my collection. A bit of a break from all the emotional turmoil, we have a very cute one called Whisper Me a Love Song. This is a music manga, kind of. So it's about 2 girls, to start at least. We have Himari, who is our pink-haired girl. She sees Yuri, the dark-haired girl, playing at a concert, and she's like, wow, she's amazing, and then she confesses to her. She says, I'm so in love with you, and Yuri's like, wow, that's so cool, amazing. However, Himari has no idea what falling in love with someone means. She just thinks that she's being a big fangirl. Yuri thinks, however, that Himari actually likes her and is confessing to her. So it's kind of them figuring out their relationship at the start, Himari figuring out what it means to love someone amid, you know, all of this, like, oh, this girl is so cool, but what does it mean to romantically love someone versus to just, you know, idolize them, essentially. So yeah, it's kind of about them figuring out the relationship with each other. Also the other band members, the first one introduced in series 4, so them figuring out their relationship. Also, there's like another band, so there's a little bit of music drama between them. So this one, I feel like it doesn't have too much romance strife. It has other plot strife and difficulties, but otherwise, if you want something that's like nice and romancy, I recommend that. But then there's also like other plot elements in there as well, aside from the romance. There's the rivalry with the different bands and that sort of thing. So if you like music-themed manga and Yuri manga, this maybe is the one for you. There also was an anime serialization of this. I don't know if they ever finished the first season. At least like for a solid 2 months it was hanging on episode 10 and there was no episode 11 and 12. I don't know if they actually released more. I need to check back up on that. But that was really good too. So for my last Yuri manga recommendation, I'm going to end on one that is definitely also in the very much emotional category, and that is The Summer You Were There. So this is about 2 girls, Shizuku and Kaori. Shizuku is our gray-haired girly. She's very shy, she's very nervous, she hates talking to people, but she always loves writing. She then starts talking to Kaori, who is our dark-haired girl. I forget how this happened, but she somehow, I think, gets her hands on Shizuku's writing, and she's like, wow, this is so amazing. I want to read more of your writing. We should pretend to be dating so you have some content to write about. And it's kind of about that, but I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but Kaori is very ill, and so it kind of then tends to that, and you know, them trying to have a good summer together, Shizuku having stuff to write about. There's a whole big plot about bullying and like past actions and things. So this is very strife forward. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. I still haven't read the last volume and I'm honestly a little bit scared to see how it ends, but hopefully it will be okay because there's been a lot of, you know, emotions and a lot of sadness going on. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, good one. Again, not so much like focused on the romance because, I mean, they're pretending to be dating, or are they? And so they're just them kind of figuring that out. There's a lot about Shizuku confronting her past and again the whole bullying thing, and just her figuring out her personality and how to deal with things. Again, I feel like I've said this for a lot of them, but the characters in this are very complex and they all have their own like backstories and the reasons why they're doing things that they're doing. It's the writing is very good and I feel like it's very well thought out. The art is also quite pretty in this, but it's definitely more of a heavy read. And so with that, those are my 6 recommended Yuri mangas. I've read a few other series, but again, these are the ones that I'm kind of collecting, so I would consider that they are my favorites. Do let me know if you've read any of these or if any of them sound interesting to you, and let me know what your favorite Yuri mangas are. I feel like lately there are more and more Yuri mangas being released, which make me super happy because again, it's my favorite genre to read. I just love Yuri stuff. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this more casual little video and that you liked my recommendations. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Bye!